Playing support in low elo can often feel like fighting a permanent uphill battle. Trust me when I say, I get it. Part of my job is to subject myself to the same problems that the vast majority of our subscribers face, which means going to Smurf. I think everyone has this idea that playing in low elo as support is absolutely impossible, and you can't carry your terrible teammates. And I do deal with really unfortunate situations just as we all do. Like your whole team locking in full AD champions, so you're forced to snowball early, but then you take a bad level 1 fight, your ADC dies, and you lose 75% of your health before the lane even starts. Oh yeah, did we also mention that your top laner goes 0-5 across the map even when you were the one that had the terrible start, and your jungler path towards top? Of course, that really fed enemy top is just going to run you down in team fights, and like, how are you supposed to carry these games? Well, it would be pretty unfair to expect that, except supports can carry this. And I actually win this game just minutes after Garen cosplayed a Beyblade on top of my head. What I'm getting at is that you may not be fighting everyone 1v1 and making montage Riven plays, and you certainly aren't going to have 300 CS and 6 items to mow your opponents down, but that doesn't mean you can't carry. Support is arguably the best role in the game for solo queue, and I'm going to show you why. Let's explore how I managed to turn this terrible game around. So let's go from the beginning and then look at this awful start. Surely the game should have been lost just off of that alone, but we can turn it around. Part of learning how to carry games as support is to think of every negative as some sort of an advantage. And no, I'm not saying that you just need to be a positive summoner and then everything will work out. That's not it at all. What I'm getting at is that every action in League of Legends comes at some sort of cost. Your opponents will need to make sacrifices in order to come out on top. Nothing is ever truly for free. Let's use that terrible fight as an example. The huge negative of MF dying at level 1, well, let's think about what advantages that gave us. She basically just got a recall and healed to full for free, while Trist is still in lane under half health. We also made Morgana reset on a wave that will be pushing away from her, costing her experience. I know that they both used heal and exhaust as well, so I don't have to worry about those when calculating upcoming plays. Now, by thinking of what advantages I have, we're able to spin a bad situation into a good one to make a positive out of it. Let's see. My initial game plan is to now use the fact that Miss Fortune is full health and force Triss to recall while we freeze. Morgana will have already lost a ton of experience and we can start pulling ahead, potentially even using our XP lead to start winning the lane at some point. Triss could counter this idea by getting a recall timing, pushing the wave to our tower, and then going to base. So, in order to carry this, we have to get a bit creative. I know that Triss will hit level 2 first. Not only did she get kill experience, but she has the push lead, and the first thing anyone is taught in this game is to just look for the level 2 all-in. However, in this case, Triss shouldn't actually do that. But why? Her way of getting rid of the advantages that we have, mainly the fact that we have more health than her, is recalling. So if she all-ins me, she's going to be putting her damage into me, and not onto the wave. So I step up, even though I know she can all-in me, but I stay just far enough away that I won't die, and I won't have to use my flash. Just as predicted, she takes the bait, and jumps onto me using her E as well. As you can see, I get an instant reward as she fails to crash the wave into my tower. She may have a level lead right now, and more gold, but the fact that MF died and got to heal actually outweighs both of those things in the moment. Now in a lane where we should be getting jumped and killed, Triss just simply doesn't have the resources, and we can hold the lane in a safe spot for over a minute. When you stall out the game from behind and just go even, you're shrinking your opponent's lead, and that's exactly what we're doing by holding the wave in safety for so long. For example, the difference between 500 gold and 1000 gold is literally double, but if that lead stays the same, the difference between 9,500 and 10,000 really isn't that noticeable, just a 5% difference. This is extremely similar reasoning to why I actually wanted to trade my health in this spot here. I have 408 health, and Triss also has around 400. After the trade, I take exactly 200 damage, and she takes around 150, and that's a winning trade. Wait, what do you mean that's a winning trade? You lost 50 more health than her. You're right, but hear me out. If we didn't trade at all, Triss would have 400 health to use to shove the wave in. She could use a lot of it to hit the minions and ignore the damage that we could do to her. Misfortune is coming back with 650 health or so, but let's just make it 600 so we can do quick maths. Me and Trist are both at 400 health, and Misfortune is at 600. So essentially, Trist would be working with 400 health against 1,000 total between us. That is a 250% difference. Certainly a lot, but not insurmountable. But if me and Trist trade beforehand, Misfortune's health doesn't move at all. She's still coming to lane at 600. But me and Trist are now at 150 and 200. So if we total up how much health both sides are working with, we have about 750, and she only has 200. Instead of a 250% difference, this is now a 375% difference, a much bigger gap. By just knowing when to use my health to trade, I was able to make my Misfortune's advantage of having more health work for us even harder. Math may not be the most exciting thing ever for a lot of people, but it does give a solid explanation of why a trade where I lose more health than my opponents is actually good. And speaking of things that are good, if you're enjoying this guide and finding it helpful, you should definitely check out our premium courses at Skillcapped, which will rapidly increase your climb as a support player since all of our guides are designed and created for climbing out of low elo. If you try to just learn from pro play and high elo streams where the support meta and playstyle is totally different since all of their teammates are challenger players, then you'll learn very little for how to actually climb out of low elo as a support, which is where Skillcap comes in. Check us out after this and learn to start smurfing, as there is literally no risk to subscribing. Jumping back into the guide though, identifying your advantages and knowing how to get them to work for you is game saving. And we went from struggling super hard to actually winning trades and going up just because of one strategy made on the fly. So let's go look at later when I'm getting run down by the superfed Garen, because that's probably something most people don't know how to deal with. Initially, this doesn't look good in the slightest. We lost this team fight and our opponents move over to take Dragon right after. So how exactly am I going to spin this in a positive light, you ask? Well, there's two main ideas here. Garen is without a doubt the scariest member of the enemy team, but he did use one very key ability to win the last fight: Flash. Additionally, I know that at the start of the fight, Morgana came from below us, and after the fight ended, she went down to Dragon. She was never on top side at all for the last portion of the game. While we did die, this is information that I can use. We might lose the Dragon, but as a positive, that means that the Baron isn't set up yet by the opposing team. And yeah, Garen has no flash. As soon as I respawn, I'm going to use this to set up Baron vision for us before Morgana has a chance to recall and get there herself. We have the tempo advantage, I just need to use it. While she has to recall and go get more wards, I have all of mine and can go straight to set it up. After pinking the pit and getting surrounding vision, I now have information on all sides of me. We have the crab and the pink and Baron pit, the ward on the jungle ramp, a ward in line brush, and I just cleared out this entire area. If someone is going to approach me, I know exactly where they're coming from and what's going to be safe. I'm standing in the middle of my vision, which gives me time to react to any approach. Whenever someone tries to enter, we can immediately punish and force them out. And they can't bluff that they will have backup because we have perfect information. So when I see Garen approach, we are staring at someone 3 levels up on us with a ton of items. But again, the advantage of last fight, he has no flash. You can see that I want to toy with him here now, and I know he doesn't have enough people following up because of the vision. So I'm moving into him to bait him to try to get onto me. He follows, and because I know he doesn't have the flash, I can kite him further and further into my vision safely, away from his team. At this point, look at where his teammates are. We can see everything extremely clearly, and they have no information on where my team is coming from because of lack of wards and because Nocturne just turned off the lights. This fight goes really well, and if Garen had flash, I would die instantly. But knowing that he doesn't, I can toy with the insanely fed enemy top laner and turn a terrible looking game into a winnable one. Both of these examples are just small sections of this game, but perfectly highlight how important it is to rephrase situations in your brain. We'll often look at negatives and tunnel on how bad things are without really thinking about why. By spinning everything into a positive, it can create plans out of thin air that work with what you have. And as the saying goes, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. By applying this at every turn, you can capitalize on even losing situations and come back from games that should by all means be completely unwinnable. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, good luck and happy climbing.